Ooh, light the bat signal, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a bit of a celebratory stream as well. My God, I knew we were close, but I didn't realize we hit it right before this stream. And of course, Oracle always coming in with the support. I appreciate you so much, Oracle. Thank you for the crazy $40 super chat. That's super nice of you saying congratulations on 4K that channel. 10K is just around the corner, and you guys deserve it. 10K is a little bit further down the corner, but I like your confidence. I hope it does happen much sooner, because then we'll be able to do more charity streams again, which I think. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. As some of you know, this is going to be the 10-year anniversary of one of our favorite films, Batman v Superman. And I think Super Bro Corey and I are going to do a watch party, and we're going to do probably like our last one until, we switch over and hit 10K. But we're going to do like all of the super chats that we get that day are all going to go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So I'm excited for that. So make sure you set your calendars for, I think, March 25th is the 10-year anniversary. But Oracle, thank you so much for that crazy $40 super chat. I really do appreciate you. Hashtag Battalion. You guys are what makes this so awesome. It's awesome to hit this new milestone and to celebrate this with you guys. So Corey, can you play a little something to say thank you to Oracle for coming in hot with that $40 super chat? That's awesome. Thank you so much, Oracle. That's so cool. And Corey, I feel like we should do something from now on, because we got a bit. I feel like we got to give some kudos to who was the first person to comment on the live stream today. I feel like they deserve some props.
All right, first person to comment was Crash the Purple Puppet.
Joshua, my man. Thank you. So Corey, let's play whoever, for now on, we're gonna make a tradition. Whoever is the first person to comment on our live stream, we are always going to play a little clip to say thank you for showing up, especially showing up early and getting everyone hyped. So Crash the Purple Puppet, Joshua, my man, I just heard you saw Scream recently and you said it was good. You have to check it out. Corey, can you play a little some to Joshua for showing up early and getting the crowd started? Appreciate you. Who else is in the chat tonight? We got a great show for you guys tonight with this season 2 premiere of Monarch breakdown. That some big things we're going to talk about, some theories, because I think Titan X, this mysterious new apex predator, I think it was imprisoned in that dimension between dimensions, Axis Mundi. It just seems a little too coincidental of all the things that have been going on there. And it seems like the other Titans like Kong and Godzilla knew about this thing much before the humans did. So we're going to get into that. So make sure you guys know, you already know, like, share, and subscribe. Help us hit 5K subscribers now, which is our end of the year goal. But it sounds like we may hit that even earlier than expected, which is insane. And that's because you guys rock the Battalion, which I'm already loving. This hashtag I'm seeing, 4K Battalion. That's fantastic. I love that. I'm going to have to keep that. You guys are awesome. But of course, you can follow us on our social media pages like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at @the_Bat Channel, or Facebook at Holy Bat Channel. And then, Corey, let's welcome everyone who's in the chat for us. Who's here?
Yeah, man. We got a lot of great people here tonight. We got, of course, Oracle's Clock Tower. As you said, thank you so much, Oracle's Clock Tower. 4K is insane. We're excited to be here. We have Crash the Purple Puppet. We have Kaiju Crazy, Craig, Roland, Bat Fanatic, Trevor H, the Ultimate Promethean Hybrid, Keen, Donkey Kong, Clever Girl, Dark Star Killer Unleashed, 9 Lives in Hell here. Hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy. Beyond the Night, we have Batman popping in, Red Hooded Outlaw, Kaiji Crazy Craig rolling. We have Joker's Wild, Red Robin, Carrie Kelly, The Butler, the Batman Who Laughs. We have Deadpool in the house.
Deadpool.
Why no love for Angus? Oh wow, that's awesome! Congrats, Bat Channel. Thank you. The Emancipating Poet. Good soldiers.
What's up, TJ? It's good to see you, dude.
Got Clever Girl with a $10 shoot voucher.
Hey. Clever Girl coming in hot with the $10 saying, "We love you 4,000." Hashtag 4K Battalion. That's sweet of you. Is we love you 4,000? Is that? I feel like that's a play off something. What is that? I love you 3,000, right? Isn't that from Marvel? I think so. I think that's what Iron Man's daughter says to her. I think so. I love you 3,000 or 4,000. That I appreciate that, Clever Girl. That's we love you back 4,000 times over and over. And we appreciate you for, showing up. I mean, you haven't been a part of this community long, but we appreciate you always showing up and supporting. And obviously the super chats go a long way of making our channel better. So Clever Girl, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for building this community. Corey, can you play some for Clever Girl to say thank you?
You are more beautiful than a hot dog and a beer at Wrigley Field on opening day.
I mean, we're getting close to opening day too. So I'm actually, the idea of Chicago dog and some beer sounds amazing right now. Yeah, I won't lie. But thank you so much, Clever Girl. Thank you for that. Hashtag 4K Battalion. That's awesome. That's crazy. Corey, let's go ahead and bring in the best co-host I could ever ask for. Super Bro Corey. Ladies and gentlemen, this show would not be possible without this man making my life a lot easier during these live streams. But Corey, we just got to the season 2 premiere of Monarch. And what was your initial thoughts? I feel like, with our reaction, our watch party that we did, overall, the vibes, maybe I'm speaking for you, seemed positive. I felt like it was a solid beginning to season 2. Good way to kick off.
Absolutely. It was a great opening episode, man. Like we jumped right back into it. I'm glad we didn't miss a beat. And my boy Old Shaw is there. We got the we loved the original OG crew there. So it was fun seeing how much they utilized them. I really enjoyed this episode, man. We got a lot of kaiju action, so I just thought the pacing was really well, and it was just a lot of fun.
I agree. And I feel like the best way to how we always like to do these breakdowns, and Corey and I are actually going to try to keep this video short to see if we can get through it all. I know, right? Is it possible? Is this going to happen? We're going to try to keep it short and try to make it not as long as the episode. So it was a 57-minute episode. Hopefully, when we start the timer, we're short of 57 minutes. But there's a lot to unpack from this episode, and I always feel like you kind of have to give, since it's a season 2 premiere, you have to give us a little bit of what happened at the end of season 1 finale. And essentially, right, we get our group, our post G-Day crew with Shaw and Keiko. They're in Axis Mundi, right? And they're able to escape because Ion Dragon is there. Godzilla throw down, and Godzilla, being the intelligent apex predator that he is, throws Iron Dragon out so that they can leave. But in the process, Shaw is unfortunately left behind. And honestly, we think he's gone. We think he could be sacrificed. Maybe he won't return. But the trailer wasted no time for season 2. We knew Shaw was going to survive. And I think that's just the star power of Kurt Russell. They knew the fans wanted to see him back. So not much of a surprise. They didn't really hold on to it for season 2. He was back pretty much 30 minutes in, if even shorter. So I don't know if that was the right decision, but I understand that some actors just have that draw to it. And we often said that Kurt Russell's and Lee Shaw as a character was the best part of season 1, easily. But as we return back from Axis Mundi, we're on Skull Island from one of the portals, and we realize that Kentaro, Hiroshi are working with Tim, who's still with Monarch, and to our surprise, Apex. And off in the distance, Kong being super pissed. He doesn't like people messing with the balance of his island. And certainly that is what goes into this first episode of season 2, titled Cause and Effect. And my God, is it truly cause and effect? Because Kate is going to cause a lot of problems with some big effects. So let's go ahead and get into season 2, episode 1, cause and effect. And how I usually like to do it is I like to kind of give us timelines that are kind of combined. I don't like to jump back and forth like they do in the episodes where it's the flashbacks and then, you know, present day, flashback, present day, that kind of mirrors what's going on in the situation to build intensity. I like to kind of give you guys a linear path. But first, to give you guys a bit of concept, we'll start from the very beginning. And that is in the very beginning of episode 1, it kicks us right off where we left with the finale of season 1. It has been 2 years since they first fell into Axis Mundi, and they've only been there about a day. I did the math on this, and according to Keiko, who had been there for 57 days, she pops out 58 years later. Same thing with Shaw. Everything is about like each day equals almost calculations. It's not quite. So maybe gravity is a little bit different, but it's right about 2 years per day. A little less, you know, it's decimals in there but it's close to 1 day, 1 full day equals like 2 years almost. So keeping that in mind, we now see how time can really distort things and maybe why they didn't want Lee Shaw's character in there for a long freaking time. And they wanted to get him out quick so that way they could be like, oh, it hasn't been that long. I mean, he's really only in there minutes. So he doesn't have to spend the 7 days that he was back in 1962. But obviously with Apex being there, Apex Cybernetics, this is a little bit of a connection that is going to lead us into Godzilla versus Kong. As we know, Apex Cybernetics is the group with Simmons that builds Mecha Godzilla and also works with some of the people that get King Ghidorah's skull, you know, to get to him. So already there, we're starting to see an interesting parallel of Monarch working with a suspicious and mysterious organization that does some really shady stuff, as we already know that they're starting to do with May. Corey, what's your thoughts on Monarch working with this organization of Apex? Do you think this really blurs their lines of morality of working with a group that, yes, they got the money and they got the tech, but how aware do you think Monarch, being a secret organization that seems to have spies all around, it seems weird that they would miss on what Apex is really up to?
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably fairly normal for scientific groups to try to collaborate with each other in the beginning, right? You know, it's one goal at this point. They don't necessarily know what Apex is up to yet. So I think it's more from a scientific research standpoint is why they're, going with things. But it's definitely a fascinating thought, like what's going to trigger what comes next with this,
I agree. And I think this is a piece of layer of this collaboration between the two organizations, I think is going to create a very fascinating dynamic of maybe Monarch is at some fault for Mecha Godzilla and Simmons and that whole group doing some really bad things. It might be one of those things where blissfully ignorant in some of the things that Apex is engaging in. But it's a very interesting thing that, even Tim kind of says, this is like, to Keiko, you're the thing we've been missing. We have been blurring this line. In season 1, he kind of went after Verdugo about like, hey, we're not what we used to be. Like, we were explorers, we were scientists, and you've turned us into this political thing. And I think that is a very interesting discussion. TJ says,
I
Go
love
ahead.
what he says here. He says, no heat on me. I'll give you this analogy. Monarch is NASA and Apex Cybernetics is SpaceX. That's the perfect example there. You know, there are two scientific companies working for it. You know, Monarch is a government funded agency, you know, and as far as times go, you know, funding is a whole lot more complicated at the public sector than it is at the private sector. So, of course, they'd be working with each other.
Absolutely. And it creates this interesting dynamic of obviously Kentaro's mission and Hiroshi's mission by using some of that Titan phone call gamma ray simulator technology that was used in season 1 to open up a portal to get Kate, May, and Shaw. They were hoping, but it actually ended up being their grandmother out of Axis Mundi, and it's caused the ripple in the balance. We saw that Kong is super pissed. We kind of get this really great scene. Corey and I had a little bit of nostalgicness here seeing Kong with the helicopter, because the shot, and I feel like whoever cinematography wise did that shot of Kong in the helicopter, they must have been a longtime King Kong fan, because that to me pulled out some memories right out of the Kongfrontation Universal Orlando ride.
That was the Universal ride.
Oh, totally, dude. It just the way he looks, the light hitting him a certain way. Someone had to have been like, hey, let's give the fans a little some to be like, yeah, you know what's going on here. And that was, for me, that was just a really cool moment. But we get our Monarch and Apex team the hell out of there. They get them on the planes, and Kong is just, he's infuriated by them. And as we learn on this Outpost 18 battleship looking thing from Monarch, that Tim says Kong had let them do a dozen tests before, you know, he went wild on them. So it wasn't until they opened up the portal and something stirred Kong up. Like, he didn't like what was going on there. And I bring this up because obviously they show what's going on, right? This trilobite scarab thing that we see. Kong, it's weird that such a small creature sets Kong off, but it makes me wonder if Kong knows about this creature. And I bring that up because of what we're going to lead into with kind of our first flashback that we get. And like I said, this, I'm going to go linear here. The intro is the only part that I'm going to get to, and then we're going to go linear with the flashback stuff first with our, what I like to call our legacy crew. I love our legacy crew. They were definitely best part of season 1, and here we start them off in 1957 in southern Chile, and there are so many wonderful things about this. When they get to this island, already we get that wonderful chemistry, the banter between the three, but also the relationship between Sean, Keiko, and even Keiko and Bill, the kind of this weird love triangle that's going on. But when we get to this island, and you know, they're on the boat and they're talking about the sea monsters, kind of that maritime myth tradition that always happens of the sea and the Kraken kind of theme. One of the things that Shaw says is, "Here there be monsters," which is a direct callback to one of the IDW publishing comics called Godzilla Here There Be Dragons. And it was this whole pirate themed comic that was hugely successful. And they've gone in to continue it in a secondary series. And also they've done a Here There Be Aliens line. And it's just one of those things where if you're a big Godzilla fan, it was kind of cool just to have that little nod once again there. But it really gives us this whole kind of 1957 scene, really gives me like some classic Toho vibes. And there's so many Easter eggs in this one scene, because as they're passing through the village and they see the rock structure that has the two eyes of Titan X and the tentacles and the scarab looking thing, we get the idea that this culture, this village, actually worships Titan X. They protect it, they defend it so much. And even one of the cool things I noticed on the bar that they went into was that it was called El Pescado Sangra Lento, which is English for the fish bleeds slowly. So you're kind of seeing a bit of a theme. Obviously it's a fish culture. They're probably a main product that they survive on is fish and seafood and things like that. So they really depend on that to survive and to make their village thrive. And the villagers who are protecting this thing called El Gran de la Mar, which is called the Great Sea, as you're kind of getting the name of Titan X, for Titan X, this colossal Lovecraftian tentacled monster thing that they have. It's interesting to see this dynamic of this village does not look at Titan X as some destroyer. They call him the bringer of the seas, the bringer of food, right? When Titan X arrives, fish fills the seas and it makes all the villagers happy. So here you got this really defensive organization that worships this creature. Yet we see Kong and eventually, obviously in the trailers, Godzilla not liking this creature. And it begs the question, Corey, and here's a big one that I even asked to our audience. I hope this is a complex layer that they really toy with and unpack throughout the season. But to have this village who looks at this creature as a god and something to worship and something that they need to thrive on their village. And yet you have Apex and obviously Kate who are going to be like, oh God, we got to stop this thing. We got to take it out. Especially Shaw saying like, I don't think you guys should have let me free. You should have left me there because of this thing. This thing's obviously going to wreak havoc. Do you think that Titan X is a destroyer or a misunderstood god?
That's interesting question because we've seen people worship these titans before, right? Maybe not necessarily. We've seen it in for Khan. We've seen it for Godzilla. We've seen it for other titans. So that's a really interesting question. I think it's probably for me. I'm thinking the way Khan and eventually how Godzilla will respond to it is going to tell us. But I have a tendency to trust Khan's feelings and vibes towards other titans. So Khan doesn't like what was released, and he's pretty upset about it. So I think ultimately this is going to be more of a destroyer. Now he does have a little bit of a town following, so I wonder if more specifically this titan or creature did things, per se, like it wasn't necessarily to help people out, but like the people who lived on the island benefit from it. So like fish, were pushed in because they were scared of this monster, so they would harvest a lot of fish or something like that. So they felt like it was a god from afar, and one of those types of things. But ultimately I think this is going to be a big bad situation here with this new Titan.
Well, and you bring up some great points, because as we have learned in Godzilla King of the Monsters, which in this timeline, we're in 2017, that's 2 years off with Godzilla King of the Monsters, we do know that the Titans do have a positive reaction to the environment around them. Yes. So, I mean, that's why, they even think like, let's release all these Titans and, so that way the earth will be healed and fixed again. Humans have destroyed it kind of thing. And you could be right on that. It doesn't mean that like someone like Rodan was this fire god that you would worship, but he was a destroyer. He just happened to, create some things environmentally that were good, I guess you could say in some cases, or even how Kong is perceived on Skull Island. Obviously, the Iwis look up to Kong as a god who is this warden of the island, protecting them from all these skull crawlers and other creatures. But yet, you get someone from outside of Skull Island, like Samuel L. Jackson's character, coming in, who's like, this thing's a monster, it's a creature, it's destroying us. We gotta take the scene out. So there is that interesting complexity of how different people are perceiving these Titans, and I really do hope that the villagers come into play again, of maybe there's this a political defense of, no, like, we can't destroy this creature, we need this creature. Like it creates a little bit of that geopolitical issue of save the animals, save the Titans, because as we saw even in King of the Monsters in the very beginning, and it could add this interesting dialogue of, do we destroy the Titans or are they good? You know, obviously Serizawa's fighting to keep the Titans for research and study, and that they shouldn't be destroyed. Some of them need to be contained, obviously, for those that are destroyers, but it could lead us into that very heated political debate on what the humans have to do with these Titans. Do we coexist? Do we annihilate? Or do we use Godzilla and Kong to be kind of our shepherds of that group, of that world? And we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they're going to treat that in the long run.
This is an interesting thought, too. He says, I have a theory. What if Godzilla is cool with Titan X, but Kong has a negative issue with Titan X? And I think that's an interesting one because we're not at Godzilla vs. Kong yet either. So
well, this could be the thing that sets them off to fight against each other. That's interesting. Well, you know, I do get the sense, trailers, especially the amount of clips that this season has shown, I don't want to spoil anything, but I do get the sense that Titan X is going to be looked at as kind of this big bad creature that Godzilla and Kong are going to have some issues with. And, you know, as Shaw says, you know, it's going to be something that they're both going to have to take on. But Joshua says Kamazatz is classified as a destroyer, but in reality, he's also looked at as a god by a village, not to mention he's an Alpha Titan who happens to be a king. That's a wonderful point. I think Kamazatz shows up in the Kong Kingdom comic, I think, if I recall. Something like that, yeah, or whatever the Kong's Godzilla versus Kong prequel comic was in. Yeah, that's a wonderful point. He is kind of looked. I mean, even Abaddon in the Kong Skull Island game that they came out with not too long ago, Abaddon was kind of looked at as, you know, this god spider that, you know, kind of keeps the world in check, I guess you could say, but yet is very much a destroyer. And I think the fact that we're starting to see, you know, just how those villagers treat the foreigners like Shaw, Bill, and Keiko, it's important to note how indefensive and violent they almost are in their defense towards that god. They don't want anyone messing with their balance of their island, and yet Titan X might be wreaking havoc throughout everywhere. So it's going to add a very interesting dynamic for this. But one thing to note as a little fun Easter egg as well is the scarab creature that we saw on the bar wall in that flashback scene in Chile. It looks very much like the Return of Godzilla sea cockroach thing. I think they call it a sea louse, if I remember correctly. So that was kind of cool to see that, you know, this back to 1984 aesthetic thing that MonsterVerse kind of indoctrinating some of those similar designs. If you haven't seen that movie, Return of Godzilla is so good. Like, I highly recommend it, but it's definitely a cool nod for Toho fans who are, I mean, even Titan X, based on the design with the tentacles, it does give off some Biollante vibes to it. So it's a cool little thing to see that they can little nod at. But we get some interesting dynamics, obviously, between Keiko, Shaw, Bill, and Shaw, and how there's still a lot of love there. And I almost wonder, now that Bill Randa has gone, if maybe some romantic interest is going to be rekindled, or even some harsh realities are going to come into play. Because Shaw let down Keiko in season 1 when he didn't take care of Monarch, and he got taken away the control from them, and the government, the army took more power over it. So it would be interesting to see if their relationship is rekindled, or if there's still some.
I appreciate that. Shaw's playing the long game.
Oh, yeah. Shaw's played the long game. Oh God, Corey. I mean, you're not wrong. Shaw did play the long game. But I think just the chemistry of that original crew is just still one of the best parts of the show, and I can't wait to see more scenes with them as we go on. But now let's go back to our original timeline, our present day, with our what I like to call our post G-Day crew. And you can tell Kate is feeling very guilty about leaving Shaw behind, because if there's one person that hasn't lied to her, that hasn't kept secrets from her, and has let her kind of figure this thing out on her own, it's been Shaw. And she feels that she can't leave him behind. So she is hell-bent on getting him back somehow, and enlists the help of her father Hiroshi, who also kind of is like, well, you know, I kind of, even he knows it's a bad idea. Is like, we shouldn't go back there. Kong obviously didn't want us doing what we're doing. We're playing with forces that we shouldn't here. And she kind of guilt trips him into it. And I feel like, because obviously him being a terrible father and hasn't really had a chance to speak to her yet of the reasons of why he's done what he's done, he's kind of forced into the situation of like, okay, like, we'll go back to Skull Island and we'll go help out. Which, Corey, I gotta say, I don't know if this bugged you. This might be a little nitpicky thing with me about this episode, but just in terms of continuity, did it not seem weird how easy we got back to Skull Island in all instances? I mean, the helicopter leaving Skull Island, the helicopters coming into Skull Island, the boat going into Skull Island. It just seems like in the movie Skull Island, Kong Skull Island, there was a lot of freak out, like, oh my god, this storm is going to cause us a lot of problems and lightning could strike us, and it just looks like our crew dealt with it, no big deal.
You know, they checked the weather forecast. It was looking pretty good. There wasn't much weather manipulation that week, so yeah, I think that all made sense. No, yeah, maybe a little bit, but ultimately, you could probably make it an hour-long show just trying to get into that island, you know, like that.
Probably.
So
yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, in terms of continuity, it bugs me a little bit, but like, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, because I think that's exactly it. You know, you have a show, you can show the struggles of it. I mean, it maybe would have been nice to see like a helicopter go down if lightning hit it, just to kind of, it's a dangerous trip every round, but whatever. Josh says Camazotz was the only Titan to cause the most deaths in the military in the MonsterVerse, according to the comics. Yeah, if they consider the comics canon, oftentimes it seems like when it comes to the MonsterVerse, the comics are kind of super soft canon. I don't know, but yeah, that's exactly right, Joshua. But I do love that when we go to Skull Island, I love that they always take this as the opportunity of like, here's the land of wild monsters. And the fact that we get the Manta Claws again that we saw in the first season that attacked Bill Randa, the John Goodman version. And then we get something, this made me so excited, from the Birth of Kong, Skull Island, the Birth of Kong comics. You get the Psycho Vultures, which, you know, can spit out electricity as it kills a leaf wing. That was just such a cool moment. Let's see. I hit it on the first page and I didn't even do it. So yeah, you get this guy. Oh, here, there we go. That cool thing, tacking a Monarch helicopter, which is insane. It was very cool to see that live action for the first time, especially with the fact that we've gotten it in the Titan Chasers mobile app video game of the MonsterVerse, and it's just a really cool freaking creature, especially the fact that it just ripped apart the leaf wing with no problem. And then you also got this new Titan that we've never seen before that attacks Kentaro and May as they're trying to power up the Titan phone. But this vine rat looking thing, it's this like parasitic zombie, like almost gave a real horror vibe to it. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this was a little nod too. It really felt like Jurassic Park when Laura Dern, Ellie Sattler, she's, you know, pumping up the energy to get the park back open and the Velociraptor burst out. It kind of felt like the vine rat was playing that role a little bit with Kentaro and May, and to me that was just an exciting moment. Just some really cool nods for monster fans, or, you know, prehistoric dinosaurs, all that jazz, which is so great. And to see this Titan, these mini Titans that cause a little bit of obstacle for our human characters. I mean, I guess a forklift can take it out, which is awesome. So not all Titans are armored defense like Godzilla or Kong, but we'll take it. The Vine Rat was also in Kingdom Con. It attacks the military. Was the Vine Rat in it? I'll have to look at it again. I don't remember seeing it. I'm trying to reread them again so I can remember all the monsters that came through, but that's cool. But yeah, I love the fact that we got all these Titans in it. And of course, Keiko, she's trying to figure out when she's awoken and noticing the differences in Monarch. And I love this conversation she has with Tim, where they're kind of talking about the changes of the world, where she's like, wow, people like recognize women as doctors, especially the Japanese people are not as hated anymore because, it's been many, many years after World War II. But Tim kind of says we still have some of the same problems, where people are still not quite together. We still have all these differences, but you might be the thing that ties both timelines together. And I feel like this could lead into something. Corey, do you feel like now that Keiko is back that she may become the head of Monarch?
Ooh. That's interesting. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I think it would make sense for her to be. I don't think so, though. And I don't think it's a role that she necessarily would want as well. She's more of a out in the field versus a, doing things from, the back, like pushing people out to do things. So she's going to want to be out there as a field agent, field scientist, going out there. She wasn't sitting behind originally as well. Plus, since politics has changed, she's not necessarily in the best realm, I feel like, because obviously, while she is correct, things have changed. The political scene has changed quite a bit, and with Monarch being a government agency, that would be just a mess. So personally, I feel like if I was her, I would have no interest in that. I'd still want to be out in the field as well. But I think now that certain somebody is gone, that may be a thing. But Dean Classified brought up the other point that I was going to get to, which is what about, we can't forget about Sarazawa, so that's where another issue plays into that thought as well.
It's one of those connectivity issues that has bugged me about the Monarch spinoff shows and just all of it, because yes, Sarazawa should be very involved at this moment. I mean, yes, we know that they're building some different outposts, and I think they're just about discovering Monster Zero about this time. I think they're pretty close to doing that. So he might be busy with that. But nonetheless, to have the deputy director Verdugo be kind of this political figure in Monarch as she reveals to the world of who Monarch is and how they've been protecting people, the secret organization, after all this time, it does add a bit of a connectivity issue. I just don't know if they're ever will get Ken Watanabe back for it. I wish they would, because I feel like he's needed to add that bit of connection to the actual films of the MonsterVerse. But I hear you guys a ton on that.
And now that deputy director's gone, maybe he does make an appearance.
It would make sense if he does, or at least someone of that group, like his close assistant that also got destroyed in King of the Monsters. But just don't work with Sarazawa. You're definitely a goner.
You gone.
But I love this whole thing. We finally, one of the things we really want to see that we didn't quite get the thing at the end of season 1 with the finale, especially with Kate being back with her father Hiroshi, is some answers, right? There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of drama between them. Obviously, the fact that she finds out that her father had an affair in a whole other family in Japan, and the fact that he's abandoned them in some instances. He was once believed to be dead. He's back from the dead. It's a lot of complex relationships right there, complicated to see how they're going to approach it. And I feel like we haven't gotten the end of it, but the fact that she's kind of questioning him on it, and he's trying to explain to her in a way that maybe she'll explain, understand, but she throws a lot of shade on him. Like, she's like, this this doesn't make sense. Like, how can you love two people? And as we were talking about, one of the things our good friend Josh, who was on one of our watch parties and breakdowns in season 1, he kind of talked about how this show, the legacy of monsters, may not exactly be always talking about the legacy of the Titans, the legacy of Godzilla and Kong and all those other guys. It may be that the humans are the monsters, that we are the people that do some really bad things. And as the MonsterVerse kind of says, it's often that the humans are the ones breaking the balance or causing issues. Even Michael Dougherty, the director of Godzilla King of the Monsters, said that Godzilla could have killed King Ghidorah earlier on. It was the fact that when the military sent in the oxygen destroyer that prevented Godzilla from doing that. So it adds that bit of like, well, that's kind of, it's once again, we're showing that humans are the problem here. We're the ones disrupting the balance while these Titans, at least some of them, are trying to keep it in check like Godzilla. So with her, Kate, being like to her father, how could you love two people at the same time? We've already seen the reflection, and I almost feel like she's not yelling so much at her father, but yelling at herself, because she's like, I'm the one. I loved two people. I had an affair. I did the same thing. I am the legacy of the monster of my father, and I am this monster here. And she's about to get a whole lot guiltier for what she's about to do. She keeps making very poor decisions. And in a way, for a review of that character so far, she's a character that has the most potential, in my opinion. She has the most potential to redeem herself. Kate is. It doesn't mean I like her. Right now, she's a very unlikable and unlovable character. It just, to me, she adds enough complexity and dynamic that she could, if she learns, like, she's so ignorant right now.
That's ignorant.
Let's debate it, bro. Let's go.
She kind of grew on me a little bit this last episode, though, bro, because she was so stubborn and in the sense that she was going to bring Shaw back, that she wasn't going to stop until that mission was completed. And for how much I love Shaw, I was like, you know what? I appreciate that, like, because think about it, dude. He's an old guy, he went down into the pit, to the hole again. You're already in the hole, Aziz. Get back in the hole.
You're already in the hole. Get back in the hole.
So in some ways, it's, as well as how dangerous it is to be on that island, in some ways it makes a lot of sense just to leave them there. Like logically speaking, it makes sense to leave them behind. But there was something about her that she remembered that Shaw saved her life, and she wasn't going to not stop fighting for Shaw, So I appreciated that aspect of things.
What's
so
up,
like
Qatar? Good to see you, bro.
Made me wonder if she's kind of changing the way, she has been in the past, realizing some of her flaws and mistakes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I think especially with her character, she is the one person she can trust at this point. I mean, I think she's a little shocked that Kentaro is working with Hiroshi, her father, so quickly, like that he's already forgiven him. And as he says, I've had 2 years with him, I've learned to live with it. I don't think she really trusts her father yet. I don't think she understands, because one of those things, if she understands them, then in a way she'll have to confront her own issues. Yeah. Shaw is the one person that she can trust, because he's the one person that hasn't lied to her throughout and has been the most dependable.
Yes, but I also think Grandma's going to help soften her a little bit as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. And Joshua says, yes, I wanted Shaw back, but come Kate, there were better ways. There's certainly, and I think the great part is, what's up, the amazing webhead? He's saying Legacy really showcases how flawed everyone is, yet people complain on the drama. It's not perfect, but works better than others. I agree with that. I mean, there's some of the drama that at this point, I don't see where Kentaro fits into the story. Kentaro's kind of become a very, which is weird, because he was great in the first half of season 1, and then they kind of baited him the rest of the season, where he was just kind of there. He was just present, didn't really serve a purpose. And I mean, even now he doesn't really serve a purpose. I mean, she kind of asks, like, "Are you with Monarch?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know anything that they're talking about. I'm a light guy. I know how to design art and lights." So it's when you put that into it, it's like, ooh, I think Kentaro, you're kind of setting her up, as we talked about from our trailer reaction. If there's a character that's probably going to die this season, I'm starting to feel like it's Kentaro. It sucks. But, you know, May obviously adds a complexity of what she knows about Apex and her skills to maybe have something to do with Mechagodzilla at some point. So there's that added layer. But, you know, I think there's just so much that the fact that her father kept warning her, maybe a bit of experience, maybe a bit of the wisdom of age, of telling her, like, think about this. Do we really want to do this? Like, Kong, he seems peaceful, right? He's sleeping. He was resting. He was pissed when we opened this thing up. And not only that, this is not, he's thinking like a scientist. This is not prime conditions. We got destroyed equipment all around that we've been band-aiding up here to get it to work, to get Shaw out. Are you sure you want to do this? And he kind of tells her, I don't think we should. And everyone's trying to stop her, and it's her. It's her that makes the decision, right? It's kind of that scene in Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, where, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, she's kind of left with this option to save the dinosaurs or to release them. Otherwise, they're going to die from the gas. And, you know, Chris Pratt tells her, like, hey, I don't know if we should. We can't go back from this. Once we do it, there's going to be a world of dinosaurs. And she decides not to, but Maisie comes in as like, release the dinosaurs. And we see a world now with dinos. So in this case, it's now a world with Titan X returning, which leads me to our next thing. As we see, Shaw's not in Axis Mundi very long. He sees the boar, the Titan boar that we saw earlier in season 1 that Keiko shot with an arrow, which is pretty awesome. Adds a little bit of continuity there. And I love that they've really kept who he is to the soul of the character. You have 2 different actors playing the same guy, and yet they both understand it. And it helps when your father and son playing the same guy. But the fact that he's going up against this huge boar, and then he brings out his blade and he's just like, let's go. You know, I think really speaks volumes to who his character is. He's very much at peace that he's going to go out with his boots on, you know, and I think that explains kind of the cowboy character that Shaw is. But when the portal,
he probably thought he was never coming back at that point too. So might as well get over quick, you know?
Yeah, right. Might as well go. Like, I guess this is the end. You know, but when he sees the portal open again and the ship that he had in Operation Hourglass come, this is his moment of opportunity, right? He seizes it. And all while this is going on, we see all those scarab creatures scattering again because Titan X is eroding from this mountain. And it leaves this question. This is the big question I've had about this entire episode. Was Titan X imprisoned in Axis Mundi? It seems to me, based on the cave drawings, that some, and even kind of what Bill Randa has said, that there's been discussions about this sea creature, this kraken-like divine creature in these chilly oceans 200 years ago. And because of what some of the trailers have showed us, the scarabs do show up in somewhere around 1957, and it seems like they're very much attached to Titan X, so I don't think he's been gone long, and I highly doubt Titan X just buried himself deep in dirt. He doesn't seem like a Titan that wants to do that. I think he was imprisoned. The question is, who imprisoned him? Was it Godzilla? Was it Shimu? Because we know Shimu imprisoned King Ghidorah in the ice many years later. Corey, who do you think imprisoned Titan X? Or do you even think Titan X was imprisoned? Maybe Titan X was just waiting for his opportune moment to strike.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting, man. Huh. The King of the Monsters is obviously the one who imprisoned him. Or at least, maybe imprisoned is not the best word. At least Godzilla, put him in check. Godzilla has this way of, putting people, make them run scared or get them out of here. They realize that this town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Yeah.
So maybe he retreated back into it, and he's grown over the years, and now is feeling, since he got out, feeling a little froggy, that he can maybe, just check out the waters, see if Godzilla's still out there. Maybe Godzilla's gone, So I think there's definitely a reason why Titan X retreated into this space once before. And there will be a reason. He'll find out real quick why he should have stayed there, huh?
Maybe so. I see, though. I think it begs the question of when Godzilla showed up in Axis Mundi, he didn't seem really bothered by the Ion Dragon before. We haven't really seen any cave drawings of the Ion Dragon and Godzilla going at it, And we've heard the Ion Dragon was, in season 1, Bill Randa was tracking its flight paths for many, many decades. So Godzilla didn't seem to have an issue with the Ion Dragon until the Titan phone call was going on. I'm starting to wonder, did Godzilla know that Titan X was down there? So when they were ringing the phone for someone to come save them, was Godzilla like, hey, I'm trying to keep this thing under wraps. What are you guys doing? Stop it. And clearly Kong, seeing the scarabs on his island, was freaked out about what was in Axis Mundi. So is Titan X a prisoner of Axis Mundi? I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that. I think he definitely was. I think Titan X was maybe a problem at some point, and maybe in a way, maybe that's where Godzilla, how he keeps the balance a little bit. If Godzilla is the warden of the Earth and Kong was the warden of Skull Island, maybe Axis Mundi was kind of the place where Godzilla would keep them in check. It's an interesting discussion to have. Joshua says it would be cool if Shimu imprisoned him, because it would add more credibility to her and not make her look bad given her status from New Empire. Or maybe Godzilla did imprison him. Yeah, Shimu is kind of interesting. The only reason why I don't think it's Shimu is just I don't think it did look like ice. It looks like a mountain. So maybe it's some other creature we haven't seen yet, and maybe I hear there's surprises this season. It could be a Titan that we maybe all know and love. I mean, what if it was Rodan? Rodan, kind of, and I guess it could have been Rodan and Shimu or something. It adds an interesting question of why is Titan X or the Grand Delamar in Axis Mundi, and why did he wait for that opportune moment to get out? I don't know. Godzilla may have went there to see if X was awoken because of the device. I think so. I think he was. I think Godzilla, I think that's why he was irritated. I think he's never had a problem with the Ion Dragon before, and it wasn't until that moment. And we see how quickly Godzilla gets them out. Usually Godzilla, with the humans, they're kind of just there, right? They're just in the way a little bit. Godzilla made it a point to get those humans out of Axis Mundi. He ripped apart the Iron Dragon, threw it through the portal so that it would create the path for them and let the humans go. It makes me beg the question if Godzilla, just like Kong, is pissed off at the humans, if they were both trying to keep this creature in check. And if you're watching this in the replay crew, I want to hear your thoughts on that. So let's get to the final scene. Obviously, everyone's trying to stop Kate from opening up the portal, but she does anyway. Kong wakes up. He's like the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean 4 with Blackbeard. There I were, resting, and I heard an ungodly row. What that be? Opening a portal. Opening up a portal. Kong's pissed. He does not like this. And I love the Kong's intelligence in the scene where he's like looking at like, what the hell are you guys doing? Oh, it's this device, and he breaks it. Unfortunately, Verdugo, she doesn't last very long in the show, which I feel is unfortunate. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of her character in season 1, she added this moral complexity to Monarch because she was a bit more of this political figure rather than scientist, and she kind of did some shady things and was willing to do shady things. So I will miss her character in that sense because I think she did add a fascinating layer of the secret organization of Monarch, or at least not so secret anymore because of her. So I think we definitely going to need to see the cause and effect and kind of Monarch in shambles, at least now that they don't have their deputy director, which allows the opportunity of Serizawa kind of coming in and taking control. At least for God's sakes, he hopes so. Or even, oh gosh, I'm totally spacing Vera from whatever her name is, who played Millie Bobby Brown's mom in King of the Monsters. She also is kind of ahead of Monarch. I could see her playing a little bit of a role. I mean, just to add some connective tissue to it. But obviously, Kong, who's the ecosystem enforcer, he's pissed off. He's chasing down Titan X, and I love how at the end he kind of looks at the humans of like, "What have you guys done? Like, why? Like, why do you guys just get off my island? Just go." Because now this creature is off to the races. He's free at last, and he's gonna make his presence known real quick. He's made a prison break, you know. It's a very solid episode. I think so, Corey. And guess what? We did it. The episode was 57 minutes long. That was the final scene of the episode.
Ooh.
There you go. Drop the mic. I know how to do this.
Wow, Trey, nice job.
Thank you. Corey, season 1 or season 2, episode 1. What do you think? What kind of havoc is Titan X about to do? What's about to happen here? You got any theories?
Dude, obviously he's going to try to reclaim some of his dominance on Earth, right? So I think first, what would you do if you were there? I think you go back to your old stomping grounds. And I think we're going back to the island next episode. So and I'm wondering if he ends up terrorizing the island some as well too. You know, like it's
kind of like, hey, I'm a false prophet kind of thing.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting to see, if the villagers who obviously welcome their god back into their lives gets a rude awakening that this is not this ain't like Godzilla. This is something else. That would be a very interesting way to kick it off. I think I want the scarabs to be explained a little bit more. Are they kind of this? I forget what they call those like fish that hang around the sharks, how they're just kind of that coexisting, they kind of serve a purpose. Or if like Abaddon's spiders, the mini spiders that were still fairly large for the humans, that was Abaddon's offspring. Are the scarabs Titan X's offspring? I have a feeling that they might be, just because when we saw one attack Shaw, it had tentacles. It had a very similar design that makes it feel like they're of the same species class. So I get the sense that the scarabs are probably just offsprings, that maybe it's like the Mutos, where one happens to be the queen, or maybe, Muto Prime. And there's just a whole bunch of mini ones that serve, the queen bee. But who knows? Amazing Web says, would not be surprised if Titan X may be a reason for Godzilla to question Kong since he escaped from Skull Island. Ooh. I do love that idea too, because one thing that the MonsterVerse has done really, really well throughout this entire films and comics and shows is the marketing has been phenomenal. I don't know if you ever looked at the Monarch Sciences website, but they used to show Godzilla's track, of like where he's visiting. And I remember when King of the Monsters came out, Godzilla made quite a few stops at Skull Island. And it was almost like he was checking in, like, what are you doing over there? Like, you staying on your island? Good. I'm glad you can't swim. Kind of just building up the tension between eventually Godzilla versus Kong. And it would be cool if they do kind of explain, other than, Kong being an apex predator and Godzilla being an apex predator, and you can't have two. It would be interesting to see if there were more fish. Thank you, Joshua. See, wasn't quite thinking what it was, but you nailed it. I appreciate you. It will be interesting to see if they kind of explain that dynamic between Godzilla and Kong. Obviously, they have history, at least the species does. They were always kind of combative towards each other and violent. So it could just be simply as that, but it might be interesting to see after all this time, why is Godzilla now curious about Kong? Godzilla probably could have wiped out Kong in 2014. Godzilla probably could have wiped Kong out back in the 50s, if he really had an issue with him. We'll just have to see if they want to go deep in that realm. But how dare you? How dare you show that video? That disappoints me greatly. Corey, episode 1, season 2.
You talk all that trash about my boy.
I had to. Are you hooked? Season 2 have you hooked is more than the way season 1, episode 1 had you hooked?
Dude, absolutely, man. So far, like, this is coming in hot. We're like, I think the thing that I really appreciated about this season so far is we're right back into the middle of it. Like, there's no like slow burn of like, oh, what's been happening in Monarch? What's been happening here? Like, it's like we're thrown right back into this world, which makes a lot of sense because we're dealing with Titans and we're dealing with these, amazing, creatures that are wreaking havoc on this world. So it shouldn't be a slow burn getting back into the season. We should be right back into the shit because a lot of stuff happens in between these things. So I appreciated the pace of this episode quite a bit. And if they're like this all season, we're in for a real treat, buddy.
I completely agree. I do think that this season is going to be, I think there'll still be drama because you need those slower episodes that kind of peel back some character arcs and things like that. But I do get the sense with it kind of hitting the ground running, or I should say swimming away for Titan X. This does feel like it's going to be a more exciting, faster paced season. And of course, I think season with episode 2 being Resonance, we'll have to see what that means. I get the sense that the chase is on with Titan X, and we're going to learn very quickly about why Titan X is a force to be reckoned with, and why Kong and Godzilla specifically were so worried about this thing, and why maybe he was imprisoned. So I don't know. Joshua says same thing happened with Camazotz. Showed up to Skyline. Godzilla didn't pull up until after Camazotz got imprisoned in the Hollow Earth. Yeah. Joshua, I love that you know all the MonsterVerse lore too, man. Makes me happy. So yeah, that's episode 1 of Cause and Effect. We have, hopefully, if they do it like they did with episode 1, we are doing another watch party reaction this Thursday because it released Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern last episode. They haven't been quite clear if they're doing that again or if it just happened to be a surprise season 2 premiere thing going on. But set your reminders now. I already have the live stream set up so that way you guys can do it. I haven't decided if we're going to do the breakdown live stream or if we're going to try to do it in a video so that way we can do some more animations and cool production stuff for you guys. But if not, we'll do the breakdown pretty damn quick right after. So keep a lookout for that. And guys, as always, I just want to say the fact that we hit 4,000 subscribers is absolutely amazing. I think that's just a testament of how incredible our loyal subscribers are. And it's been a long time coming, right? Like we hope to continue to build the battalion so that way we can keep making these productions and cool stuff for you guys. And obviously with the rebranding that's going to happen at the end of summer, Some big things are on the way, guys, and I think the fact that we just keep hitting these milestones is just showing that we're doing the right thing, that we're on the right track, and it's because of you guys. So as always, it helps us out so much when you guys smash that like, you share this video, get all your friends. I can't tell you how helpful it is, the fact that I see you guys posting on social media, our live streams, our videos, your commentaries, your comments in the videos that we do. It really kicks in that YouTube algorithm to helping these videos succeed, and that's why we're doing so well. It's because you guys are actually putting extra effort in to achieve that for us. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Be good. Tell your parents you love them.
Subscribe.
I love that video so much. I think that's one of your best. Please. Guys, we appreciate you. And now, a message from our special sponsors, the TPP. Be good. See you later, guys. Have a great night.
Take care, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you Thursday.
And now a special message brought to you by the Titan Preparedness Plan.
With the recent spike in Titan sightings circulating on social media, proactive preparation for a Titan emergence event is crucial. A single towering force of nature has the potential to forever alter the lives of millions. It is our mission to help you prepare for that force. The Titan Preparedness Plan is your guide to staying safe in the face of monsters. These are the 3 steps you need to know. 1. Know before you go. Identify the location of your nearest Titan shelter and practice navigating a Titan evacuation route with your family on a weekly basis. 2. Run and take cover. In the case of a Titan emergence, calmly sprint to the nearest Titan shelter. If your designated shelter is inaccessible or at capacity, seek the basement or lowest floor of a nearby building. 3. Stay informed. Follow any further instruction from local authorities and stay informed using your mobile device, television, or radio. We can't stop a Titan emergence, but we can safeguard our lives. Join us in building a safer, more resilient community. We are here to protect you.